Well, everyone, as most of you guys know, I went ahead and pre-ordered and finally received my iPhone 12. Now, last year, I did a video between the iPhone 11 and the iPhone XS Max at the time, and I think that ended up being one of my most viewed videos that was consistently getting me views throughout the whole entire year, which was very interesting. It wasn't my most viewed video ever, but it was a very interesting device comparison that still garnered a lot of attention, which was very surprising. And I figured I might as well do that same exact comparison first, get it out of the way instead of waiting months to do it. And the iPhone 12 is the successor to the iPhone 11, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max is the successor to the XS Max. So let's go ahead and see how both of these things compare, whether you should pick up an iPhone 11 Pro Max or if you should pick up an iPhone 12. Now, surprisingly, Apple did a pretty good job at kind of merging the gaps between both these devices. There's no longer an IPS versus OLED. There's very few differences, and there's a lot of differences still, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the iPhone 12 is automatically the better device over the 11 Pro Max and vice versa. Now, looking on the front, obviously there's some big differences for sure. The iPhone 12 has that 6.1-inch display, the iPhone 11 Pro Max has a 6.5-inch display, but definitely the 11 Pro Max feels bigger overall than what the XS Max felt to the iPhone 11, and that's because the iPhone 12 has that curved sides on the side of it, which is something I actually really do like. When you look at a phone like the iPhone 12 with the lack of bezel on the side of it, that makes the phone feel that much smoother and just overall thinner. Even though the bezel is still the same around the phone, the lack of the curve, it makes it feel a little bit more narrower. But there's also a downside to it. In some cases, the iPhone 12 can actually feel like a thicker phone than the iPhone 11, but compared to the iPhone 11 Pro Max, definitely the 11 Pro Max feels like the thicker phone. It has a thicker battery and everything, which is expected, but with the iPhone 12, that's kind of what it is. What's going on. Now, resolution wise on the panels, you still have a higher resolution panel on the iPhone 11 Pro Max, 1242 by 2688. The iPhone 12 has an 1170 by 2532, but you're getting more pixels per inch on that, but it really doesn't matter at this type of scale. And when you're looking at both panels, one definitely does not look way better than the other one in my opinion. They both have notches, they both look very, very similar. It's basically the size thing. Do you like a kind of middle of the road type of design where it's not extremely big in your hand? Or do you like a pretty big phone? If you like a bigger phone, get the iPhone 11 Pro Max as the bigger device. But if you're okay with a smaller phone, then I think the iPhone 12 is 100%, it's good to go. It's a very good sized phone in the hand. It doesn't feel super big, doesn't feel super small. It's very middle of the road. But the 11 Pro Max does give the appeal to somebody who may want a bigger phone. So I totally understand why Apple made it. Now, pricing wise, I should have started off with this. The iPhone 12 is starting off at $829 brand new. The iPhone 11 Pro Max, I've seen it sold in a lot of different places for like less than $800 in a couple of places for the base models. Now that's probably going to go down pretty fast very, very soon. It's probably going to be around, I would even imagine and estimate around $600 come around February to the March timeframe. So if you guys want to wait longer, you can, but I'll find the cheapest ones of both of these on Amazon and link them down in the description below, and you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now both of them have lightning ports on the bottom, and on the back, glass backs on both. The 11 Pro Max has that frosted glass back, which is something I really liked. The iPhone 12 has that standard glass back. Dual camera setup on the iPhone 12, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max has a triple camera setup. Now, some people may prefer a one camera over the other. I don't know who would prefer just one ultrawide over ultrawide and telephoto, but sometimes the quality may be better on those type of sensors. Now, on both these cameras, they're all 12 megapixel sensors, so there's not like a 16 megapixel whatever. They're all 12 megapixel sensors, each single lens you see. The only difference is the 11 Pro Max has an additional telephoto lens with that wide angle lens and ultra wide sensor, where the iPhone 12 just has a wide angle lens and an ultra wide sensor. Now, quality wise, whenever I took photos on my iPhone 11 Pro Max, whenever I did anything with it, it was an extremely good performing camera. It just gets the job done. You can do 4K at 60. Unfortunately, there's no 8K capability on these new iPhones. Samsung showcased it this year and they did a really good job at it, but I still think 4K at 60 is overkill for a lot of people. 1080p at 60 is something not a lot of people do. And with the iPhone 12, you're also getting the same type of capability, same type of filming resolutions, but you're losing that telephoto lens, which may be a big deal to some people. I'll definitely tell you, I would rather have an ultra-wide sensor than a telephoto lens, but that doesn't mean I don't want a telephoto lens. Like, I still want that type of capability. And with these type of cameras, I'll tell you, maybe the iPhone 11 Pro Max has the better camera setup. And there's just not that much of a difference between even the iPhone 11 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max, in my opinion. From what I've seen, from what Apple said and everything, it's just not like that. They overhype it. And between these two, I would rather have an 11 Pro Max camera than the 12. On the front, 12 megapixel sensors on both, 4K at 60. The difference is maybe in the software, but hardware wise, they're almost the same camera, to be honest. So in terms of the camera department, that pretty much covers it up. Really the main difference and I guess the biggest upside that the iPhone 12 has, besides hardware, would probably come in the software, but even then it's going to be very close. The iPhone 12, is the newer phone by a year, actually over a year if you think about it, and the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a year old, and quite potentially it's not going to get the same exact software updates as the iPhone 12, which, like I said before, as expected, it's a year-old device. So it's not going to affect you now. It's not going to affect you next year. But a couple of years down the road, we're going to hit a time where, we're going to have the iPhone 11 Pro Max and we're going to, say, is it going to get iOS 20 or is it not? And those are the videos we're going to make, and the iPhone 12 is probably going to be guaranteed to get it. So it's not going to be affecting you now, but a couple of years it will. Just like how the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus users were pretty much saying the same thing against the iPhone 5S at the time. So these may end at the same time, these may not. We really don't know. But in terms of software, you're probably going to be getting a longer software support on the iPhone 12 over the iPhone 11 Pro Max. And like I said before, that's pretty much just a given at this point. So in terms of software, that pretty much covers it up. Now hitting on the hardware and more specifically the specs between them, basically the iPhone 11 Pro Max has that Apple A13 Bionic chip with 4 gigabytes of RAM on each model, where the iPhone 12 has that Apple A14 Bionic chip with 4 gigabytes of RAM on each model as well. Now, but between performance, what I can tell you is that, first of all, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's an extremely fast performing device, and it's hard for me to imagine, how much slower, how much faster this phone can be over any other phone. Like, this is a really, really fast device. I've been saying it from day one, and I'm still saying it. There's no other phone out there that I can think of that's, way faster than this one. But because the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro and all these phones are set to be faster, Apple invested so much money into being faster, and all my speed comparisons I've said so. The iPhone 12 and 12 Pro are faster phones for sure. But that doesn't mean the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a slower phone. It's not like they slowed this phone down. I mean, iOS 14 may have slowed it down a little bit, but I think for the most part, the 11 Pro Max is still a killer phone. It's very smooth. It's a lot faster than a lot of my other Android devices, even other iPhones that I've had, and there are still a lot of strong suits for it. But with the iPhone 12, with that newer chipset, you're going to be potentially getting a better performance. But again, how are you going to test it? Are you going to compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro Max every day? You're probably not going to do that. You're just going to use the phone and move on. And then a couple of years later, you'll just go and upgrade again. And I really don't think even maybe a lot of people will care about this update, because these two phones are kind of interesting because performance-wise, they're kind of the same. It's just really the size and how last year we were perceived as like the iPhone 11 being the budget and the 11 Pro Max being the top tier. And this time we're comparing the top tier against the kind of the lower end this year, which is very interesting. And what I can definitely tell you is when it comes down to the performance, they're both about the same. You're getting the same amount of RAM. You're not going to feel like one is way better than the other one. If you want me to say it, the iPhone 12 is faster, but you're not going to notice it day by day, in my opinion. So in terms of performance, that really pretty much covers it up. Now, one area where you probably will notice probably the biggest difference in is the battery life. Apple, for some reason, they decreased the battery size, but going from the iPhone 11 to the iPhone 12 makes absolutely no sense. They did it on purpose. I don't know why they did it, but there's nothing we can really do about it besides get a battery case or, a charging block or whatever. Now, with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it had a 3,969 milliamp hour battery. They did the 69 on purpose too, I know that. And that was pretty much a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. That was the biggest battery we've ever had on an iPhone 11 Pro Max or any iPhone for that matter. Now, with the iPhone 12, it has a 2,815 milliamp hour battery. Now, I don't know what Apple was thinking. Like I said before, they decreased the battery size on this device from its predecessor. Don't know why they did that. That was the dumbest thing they did. And definitely when you look at both these phones, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is going to far outlast the iPhone 12 when it comes down to that battery. It can decrease its milliamp hours by like 50%. Now, that's a total exaggeration, but it can decrease its battery life by like 30%. You can have a 70% battery health on this device and still probably have better battery life on that phone than on the iPhone 12. I generally don't know what they were thinking. It's a very strange phenomenon that they did, and they do it all the time. They did it from the iPhone 7 to the iPhone 8. They did it from the iPhone 10 to the 10s, the 6 to the 6s, and they do it over and over and over again. It's so annoying. Just keep the battery life consistently getting better. Samsung does it. OnePlus Plus kind of does it, and a lot of other phone manufacturers do it. I don't know why Apple does it all the time, but in terms of battery life, you're going to be getting better battery life from the iPhone 11 Pro Max in my opinion, and probably everyone else's opinion, than from the iPhone 12. So in terms of battery life, that pretty much covers it up. Now, to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you pick up the iPhone 12? Should you pick up the iPhone 11 Pro Max? Well, what I can tell you is that personally, in my opinion, I think picking up the iPhone 11 Pro Max would probably be a better way to go. If you currently have it, I would 100% recommend keeping it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best phone between both these every single time. The 11 Pro Max has a lot of pros, but it has some cons too. With the iPhone 11 Pro Max, you're getting a really good build quality, frosted glass back, which feels really good. Great camera setup, I think maybe arguably better than the iPhone 12. A great screen, it feels really good in the hand. It doesn't feel like a cheap phone. Performance is still top tier. You have a great display, like I said. IP certification is awesome. Battery life is so good. You can just use this thing for probably multiple days and still have some to spare. It's still getting software updates, and like I said before, there's just not a lot to hate on it. And maybe the main downside is maybe it's still kind of expensive right now, but once the iPhone 12 Pro Max comes out, these things are going to go down in value. It may be too big to some people, it may be too thick for some people, and maybe even you don't want to pick up a used phone. I totally understand. But with a phone like the iPhone 12, it's cheaper than the iPhone 11 Pro Max was when it first came out, but right now they're about the same price. The 11 Pro Max may be a little bit cheaper in more places. The iPhone 12 is a better performing device, I would say, just by a little bit, but they're still both about the same. You're getting a better camera setup on the iPhone 12, kind of in terms of camera quality, but you're losing a telephoto lens when you go to the iPhone 12. You're getting that MagSafe capability, which is pretty cool, but again, you get a smaller battery size on the iPhone 12. It just kind of seems like Apple gives something to you, then it kind of takes it away from you too. You get a better IP certification, I mean, that's a given, but I don't know. I mean, it just kind of seems weird. I definitely wouldn't go from an iPhone 12 to the 11 Pro Max or vice versa, but if I was starting off from scratch and I didn't have either one of these, I feel like my instinct would tell me to go get an 11 Pro Max because that was the top tier flagship from last year from Apple. And the iPhone 12 is what it is. It's the cheapest phone that Apple's kind of making right now, but it's still kind of expensive because it's $829. And I genuinely don't think that I would personally be okay with doing that. I feel like I would rather have the 11 Pro Max than the iPhone 12, but I'm not going to hate on the iPhone 12. I think it's a beautiful phone too. It has a lot going for it, but I think when it comes down to both, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is probably the better phone. If you have it, then keep it. If you don't have it, I'd recommend picking it up. But if you have the iPhone 12 or you're planning on getting it, that's a tremendous phone too, and you can't really go wrong with either one of these. So that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, if you want to pick these things up, like I said, links are down in the description below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.